Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and in today's tutorial we are going to be making the perfect little desk apple. This would make a really great gift for a teacher or a loved one, so let's gather some supplies and we can jump into the pattern. So for today's pattern, I'm going to be using this toucan fine yarn for the main body. This is actually kind of a pink color. It's color 14. I don't exactly know what it's called, but it's more of a pink, but it's a really great apple color, I think. I'm going to be using some toucan fine in this brown color for the stem, and then I'm going to be using this Loops and Threads Petite Pearl. They're all size 4 chenille yarns, and this is going to be for the leaf. So you can also use a size 4 like cotton yarn or acrylic, whatever you want to use, but I'm going to be using the chenille yarn. I'm going to be using my 3.75 millimeter hook from Crochet Society. You're going to need a darning needle, some scissors, and some fiber fill. If you want to add a face to your apple, you can have some safety eyes, but I'm just going to make mine plain. So if you do want to have that, then just make sure you have those supplies. And once we have everything gathered, now we can jump into the pattern. All right, now to begin, we are going to be using our color A yarn, so whatever you're going to be using for the color of the apple. So I have my hook, my yarn, and we're going to be starting with a magic ring. And you should know how to do a magic ring, work in the round, and do single crochets before completing this project. So to start off, we are going to do single crochet 8 inside our magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just going to pre-pull that. 5, 6, 7, and 8. And just pull that tight. And of course I forgot to mention that we will need a stitch marker in our supplies, so make sure you get a stitch marker. I just use a scrap strand of yarn, but whatever works for you is what you should use. So there's round 1 completed. Now moving on to round 2, we're going to do an increase round, and that means we're going to do an increase stitch in each stitch around. So 2 single crochets in 1, and you should have a total stitch count of 16 at the end of round 2. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. All right, moving on to round 3, we're going to do the combination single crochet 1 and an increase. So 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And we're going to repeat that combination a total of 8 times for a stitch count of 24 at the end of round 3. All right, so now moving on for rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 4 rounds, we're going to do single crochet 24. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for the next 4 rounds. I will complete these rounds off camera and I will meet you back here for round 8. All right, so this is what we're looking like up to round 7. And this is going to be the bottom of our apple. So moving on to round 8, we're going to do the combination single crochet 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase stitch. And we're going to repeat this 4 times. 3, 4, 5, and an increase. And you should have 28 stitches at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, and then one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase. Moving on to round 9, we're going to do the combination single crochet 6 and an increase. 3, 4, 5, 6, and an increase. And again, we're going to repeat this 4 times, and you should have a stitch count of 32. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, increase. All right, for round 10, we're going to do single crochet 7 and an increase. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and increase. Repeat this 4 times for a stitch count of 36. I'll repeat this round off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 11. All right, and for round 11, we're going to do one more increase round, and it's going to be single crochet 8 and an increase. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, increase. And again, we're going to repeat this 4 times for a stitch count of 40. All right, so now moving forward for rounds 12, 13, and 14, so 3 rounds, we're going to do single crochet 40. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for the next 3 rounds. I will complete these rounds off camera and I will meet you back here for round 15. All right, so this is what we're looking like up till round 14. This is the bottom, this will be the top. Moving on to round 15, we're going to start decreasing our stitches down. So for round 15, we're going to do the combination single crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and a decrease. And we're going to repeat that a total of 8 times, and your stitch count should be 32. And I like to do my invisible decreases, so I'm going to grab the front loop of the first stitch, the front loop of the second stitch, yarn over, pull through both those loops, yarn over, pull through. So you just turned 2 stitches into 1. So just repeat this single crochet 3 and a decrease 8 times for round 15. All right, for round 16, we're going to do single crochet 2 and a decrease. 2 and a decrease. And again, we're going to repeat this a total of 8 times for a stitch count of 24 at the end. I will complete this round off camera and I will meet you back here for the next step. All right, so this is our apple guy so far. Now, before we continue on to continue closing up this hole, we're going to stuff. And if you are going to be placing safety eyes, this is when I would do it. Place them wherever you feel. But I'm just going to grab some fiber fill here and I'm going to just start stuffing the bottom of my apple. And I like to just sweep my fingers out to make sure that the edges are filled. And then I tend to just restuff that center that I kind of spread out. I find that gives me a really even stuff. We want to make sure we give definition to that kind of slow tapering that we did, like kind of like an apple looks. That is the goal, for it to look like an apple. Don't want to overstuff, but you want it to keep its shape. And we will stuff a little bit more before we fully close it off, but we just want to get kind of the gist here. So that looks good to me so far. And we're going to move on now to round 17. And for round 17, we're going to do single crochet 1 and a decrease. Single crochet 1, trying not to grab any stuffing. It's always harder once you have the stuffing in place to crochet, but it's okay. We're going to repeat this again a total of 8 times, and you should have a stitch count of 16 by the end of round 17. All right, let me just add a tiny bit more stuffing here. And then we'll move on to the final round, and this is round 18, and we're just going to do 8 decreased stitches back to back, and you should have a stitch count of 8 at the end of this round. Now, if you still need to add a little bit of stuffing, you can do it kind of when there's like 4 decreased stitches left, if you need to, or you can just wait till all the decreased stitches are done in this round, and then you should still be able to get a finger in to stuff a little bit more with the 8 stitches. Oh. And then I'm just going to stuff, I just want to stuff like the top here, just to make sure that that's all filled. Here we go. I'm going to remove my stitch marker here. I'm just going to find this next stitch and I'm going to place a slip stitch there. Grab my scissors and I'm just going to cut that and just pull that through, and that should just kind of make a little knot. Make sure you're happy with your stuffing, and once you are, we will just go underneath each stitch in just the front loop, yarn over, pull through. We're going to go around these 8 stitches and do that. And you can kind of just give it a tug every few stitches. You can see it's closing up there. There we go. And then the last thing I like to do is just insert, grab that yarn if I can. It doesn't want to go. Of course, my yarn is breaking apart here. There we go. And I just like to place a knot here, just for extra security. And then I'm just going to weave that tail in. we go. There is the main area of our apple completed. All right, so now we have our main apple completed. We're going to work on the stem here. So I'm just going to grab my brown yarn. Whatever color you want for the stem will work. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a slip knot here. And we're going to be working directly into the top of our apple here. And we're going to try and work through round 18. So I'm just going to insert my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through. And I'm going to pull through the loop on my hook to create a little slip stitch there. We want to work directly into the apple instead of sewing it on. This is just a little bit easier. So next what we're going to do is we're going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to skip this first chain, and in the second chain from the hook we're going to place a single crochet, and in the remaining 3. We had 5, we skipped the first one, so that we should have 4 single crochets down the stem here. There's 4, just like that. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert it right back into where I am, the same spot, make a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and I'm just going to pull that through. And there is our little stem here. Now I'm just going to tie these 2 tails together. I'm just going to cut them so they're the same length there, and I'm just going to grab my darning needle, and I'm just going to push those through to the bottom. And there is the little apple stem. Super, super easy. These guys I'm just going to weave in. There you go. All right, so once we're at this point, we just have the leaf to do and then a little bit of shaping of the apple. So I'm going to grab my green yarn, my color C yarn. And again, we're going to place a slip knot on our hook with that color. Now we are going to be again working directly into our apple. So just pick a spot. You want it to be beside the stem. I'm just going to go right here, right beside. I'm going to yarn over and place a slip stitch there. So now our green yarn is attached. What we're going to do is we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to skip this first chain. In the second chain, we're going to place a single crochet. In the third chain, a single crochet. In the fourth chain, a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the 5th chain. We're going to do a double crochet. In the 6th chain, we're going to do a triple crochet. So yarn over twice, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then in the 7th chain here, we're going to place a double crochet. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And there is half of our leaf. Now what we're going to be doing is working up the other side. So I'm just going to kind of turn my work here. Get my yarn tail out of the way. So we want to just make sure that we're working into the right stitch, and we're going to start off with a double crochet. This first one is going to be the hardest to do, and then it will get easier because our yarn is in the way here. There we go. So double crochet. Go. And then a triple crochet in the next stitch. So we're just working on the other side of those chains. Same way. So triple crochet, pull through, pull through, and pull through. Another double crochet here. A half double crochet. And then 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And then I'm just going to make a slip stitch into the very first stitch that we did, just like that. And I'm going to just cut my yarn and pull that tight, and that will just create a little knot there. So there is our leaf. Now obviously our yarn tail is at the top of our leaf right now. I'm just going to grab kind of a smaller darning needle here, and I'm going to take my yarn tail for the leaf here, and I'm just going to weave this down the back so that it's back into the body of the apple here. So I'm just going to weave this through only on the one side. I'm not going through both sides because I don't want this to be seen. All right. And then I'm just going to tie a light knot. I don't want to pull too tight on this so that that end doesn't pull my leaf all the way down. I'm just going to do that. And then you may notice that it's kind of raised here. So if you want it to be kind of a little bit more secured down, you can just secure it down with a couple stitches. And if you kind of want to place it where you want to place it, so right beside the stem here, you can do that. And then I'm just going to push this to the side. And just do the same thing with the other one. And then I'm just going to tie a knot here and tie off these ends and weave them in. go. Here's our little leaf and our stem. Now, the very last thing we're going to do is we're just going to bring the top and the bottom in together. So I'm just going to grab a strand of my color A yarn, whatever you used for the body of the apple. And all we're going to do here is we're going to grab a piece close to the center here of our apple on the top, and I'm just going to tie a knot here. Next, I'm just going to insert right down into the center, and I'm going to go right into the bottom center of our apple. And I'm just going to pull that. And you can see here, the more I pull, the more it goes down. So I'm going to pull it to where I want it, and then I'm going to grab some stitches on the bottom here. And I'm going to make a knot here to secure this down. So it just created that little bit of an indent there. And now we're tied at the bottom. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go back up to meet up with this other yarn tail here. And I'm going to pull, and that's going to bring the bottom in. And then all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to tie a little knot to secure that. I'm just going to cut that. Grab my hook. And weave in those ends. And there is our little apple all completed. This is such a great gift for any teacher in your life, or maybe someone just really loves apples, who knows, but it's a really quick no-sew project. I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. Let us know in the comments down below if there's anything else you're looking to see. Otherwise, we will see you in the next one. Bye!